All right, so I'm going to show you how to, from your thumbnail sketch, get it the same size on here. The first thing you're going to do though is make a 1-inch border around the edge. So you're going to have 1 inch around all the edges that you don't draw in. So what I'm doing, this ruler starts at 0. So I'm going to butt right up to the end of this, and I'm going to make a 1-inch mark here and 1 inch from that edge. And then you're going to turn your paper, and you're going to do that around all of the edges. So 1 inch in, 1 inch in. This is much easier standing, so stand up if you need to. 1 inch in. And 1 inch in. Now this gives me a point here and a point here that I can connect, so that I make sure that my line is, every point on the line is 1 inch from the edge, so I have a straight line. Little tip, if you're connecting 2 points with a ruler, put your pencil on one and butt your ruler up, and then this end is the only end I have to worry about, and I can spin it around until I'm right on that dot down here, and just draw you a line. And you're going to do that all the way around. Pencil down, draw a line, pencil on the point, swing to that other point, and I have my 1 inch border. Okay, now you're going to be looking at your thumbnail. If you drew yours where it's longer this way, then your paper will be this way. If you did a portrait, which is what mine is, then you will be holding it that way. So make sure that your thumbnail proportions, that your orientation is the same way here as what you're drawing here. Now, I put some little lines, guidelines, to kind of break up my picture plane. And then you can, if you want to, really lightly do that on here, or if you can just kind of eyeball it. We're not being super precise here, but so now the first thing you want to do, so that you don't wind up with a tiny mushroom on this big piece of paper, is you're gonna look where things fall. So if I'm looking how far this mushroom goes out here, this line is my halfway point. Here is like 3/4 of the way over my paper. So in this direction, my mushroom should come over here. So I'm just doing some little marks that show me proportionately the space that this takes up. The top right here is right under my halfway point, and right to the left of this line is that highest point. It touches the edge a little bit lower than 1/4 of the way down here. So if it helps, make you a little mark that's like halfway and 1/4 of the way. Like I said, you can draw the lines if you want to. So that should touch right here. If this is halfway, this is about 2/3 of the way up here. So about here. So this right here, just those few marks right there, tell me the space that my mushroom here, in my case, should take up. And then you can lightly, you want to always sketch kind of light to make sure it's right before you darken any lines. This comes across here, just basic shapes so that I get the proportions right, because we want it to look like this. This is halfway, so out here, if that's 1/4 of the way, it's like halfway between there. So my mushroom should come over here at the bottom and over in this area. So now this allows me to kind of work that in, so I get that same proportion. We're not going for exactly perfect, but you want to make sure that you're filling the space. Remember that your drawing should be filling about 80% of your space. So if you draw something like this mushroom, I still have a lot of empty space right here. So I added in like a little cloud, something simple. You don't want it super detailed, remember. I'm gonna bring this mushroom up because he looks a little flat. Okay, as long as I'm drawing lightly, I can erase really easily the lines that I don't need. Okay, so now I can draw in my cloud here. I'm gonna bring it over here too. Okay, so now I have a good proportion. This same thing is pretty accurate on here. Now my little, just remember that you're drawing bigger than you did that first time, and get it like you want it before you start darkening anything. Very light. Once you have that, you can go back and darken your line just a little bit. You still don't want to engrave into your paper, but get you a nice clean line so you know where those lines are, because you're going to be shading in those lines, so you need to be able to see them. So you can darken that just a little bit. Nice clean lines, not sketchy. And you can erase any marks. You don't really have to do too much erasing because you're going to shade it all in anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. Okay? All right, that's that part.